Today we're recording the voiceovers for Advent Rising, and Advent Rising is a really kind of different video game experience. It's very much more like a film. It's a very thematic experience. The author, we actually brought in this huge sci-fi writer named Orson Scott Card. He's kind of big in the sci-fi book industry, and so we wanted to really bring realism to this game. There's so many games I've played, and you get that cheesy, stupid video game voiceover that I hate so much. So we really wanted to try to bring live feeling and emotion. People cry in our game, and that's something that you don't see. It's rare to see that.
This is not good. He wants us to get suited up and jump ship. You've got a lot in common with him. You're reckless, daring, and have the delightful odor of old fish. We'll need a lot more than competent leadership to survive this, Marin. Have you ever fought these Seekers before? I saw one of them tear through an entire Spec Ops squad like it was nothing.
So today we're recording Gideon's voice. He's our hero. He's our main character, being acted by Will Friedle from Boy Meets World, and he did the voice of Batman, actually, in the animated series.
The character I'm doing is Gideon, and Gideon is actually the character that you play, which I think is very cool. So you're actually playing me, which I think is kind of neat. And Gideon is what will actually come to being the leader, quote-unquote, the leader of the human resistance, as it were. Although not resisting much at this point, just trying to move on and make sure that the species is saved, which is, I think, the first and foremost thing that's important. So I'm a huge video game fan, so this to me was very cool. When I started doing voiceover stuff, it was strictly cartoons and that sort of thing. And I told the people that I was working with, I said, no, I really want to do some video games. I want to do some video games. And I never in my wildest imagination thought that the first one that I would do out of the gate was this game, which is so in-depth and has so many little storylines going on and so many different things going. And it's such a entirely created world that it really is a cool video game to be dropped into. It's not one of those type of games where you're saying one or two things and then you move on to the next level and you're collecting the stars or you're doing that kind of stuff. It's more, it's a complete world, and you truly do have to. I always look at video games like this where it's a movie. You're watching a movie. It just so happens that you get to play. It's just pure freedom. I mean, I get to sit in here all by myself, and we talk back and forth about, the dialogue is fantastic, so it doesn't need much when you're in here. It's just basically, it speaks for itself. You just need somebody to say the lines and put them out there. But it's different. This is the first time doing a video game, so it's the first time I've ever read a script where as you're reading it down, you read one scene with one character, and then the top of the next page will say, like, if that character died, then you have to read these, and it's like, it's reading the same scene again, but with the character that lived as opposed to the character that died. So that's a very different thing for me, knowing that it's got to be recorded differently if you take the left passage as opposed to the right. If you shoot the guy as opposed to kicking him. I mean, that all needs different dialogue. So that's something that is very interesting for me and a cool kind of way to do it. It is like doing a choose-your-own-adventure from when I was a little kid. But instead of having to write what happens, we have to record what happens, every passage, every door, and it's very cool. I got to be honest, this might be close to the coolest thing I've ever done before. I mean, I saw part of the game, and just the idea that I'm going to be able to plug it in, and as I'm playing and getting lost into this world, I'm hearing my own voice. It's going to be a trip. I was a Nickelodeon kid originally, and then I moved out to Los Angeles when I got a show called Boy Meets World. And Boy Meets World, we were very lucky, went 7 years and had a great time. Basically, we all grew up together on the show. And then during the middle of Boy is when I really started doing voiceovers. I got my very first voiceover gig, which was a great show called Batman Beyond. And I actually got to do the voice of Batman for 5 years, which is just about the greatest thing you can tell any woman in the world is I'm Batman. I mean, how do you go wrong?
Yeah, with Will, I think we got really lucky. I mean, he did a lot of TV stuff, but he was the voice of Batman on Batman Beyond for the last 5 years. And I think that alone is really what's helping us with him, because Batman Beyond is a little more, it's a little darker, it's a little more serious than your average cartoon. And so I think he's used to doing, something where he has to shift from high action stuff to something a little more emotive. And I mean, he's phenomenal. We got really lucky. With the soundtrack specifically, I mean, when Tommy and I sat down, initially we decided that we didn't want to approach the music for Advent like a traditional video game. We wanted to approach it more like a film, where instead of writing, say, like a song for each level, where it'd be like, here's the level 2 music, we were approaching it more thematically. So we're writing music, the human themes and Gideon's theme and the love theme and these different thematic, just like you would score a film. And so we have these different thematic pieces that we can then mix into the game so that we can have all this high intensity music, and then we can mix it into, more of like the destruction of the human theme that we can then tie later into Gideon's theme, and we can start to create these complex music elements to really push the emotion of what we need.
I mean, that's the dedication of the publisher, to make the highest possible production value there is. I mean, using the live orchestra, and this music is going to be epic as far as, it's going to be slow, it's going to be emotional, it's going to be gripping, it's going to be, it's not going to be like anything anyone's ever heard in a video game before.